All right, so in this video, we're going to just breeze through how to start from scratch with nothing, an empty scene, and start using these utilities and all these tools to build a pretty quick and simple variant configurator. So first thing to do, we're going to go to our data structure folder, and we're going to open this empty configurator. This has been pre-built to give you a good starting point. It has a generic backdrop. It has an orbit camera already in here, and it has a startup graph. The startup graph, I encourage you to look through, and you can tune it to control kind of startup parameters that work for you. Right now, it basically just goes full screen, and it turns on the camera and disables the grid, things like that. The system startup is actually tied to a keyboard command, Control-Alt-C. So if I hit Control-Alt-C, now the configurator is active, and I can fly around with the camera. Also, because the camera is defaulted, the configure the tuning for it lets me go below the ground. So you're gonna have to edit that how you want. And then you hit Control-Alt-C again to kind of eject from the configurator. So our next step is we're gonna go get a car. So we're gonna drop this guy in. And now I have a car in here. Again, I'm gonna hit Control-Alt-C. Now, same thing, my camera is active and moving, but I don't have much of anything to do yet. So now we're going to use our utilities. If you load the product configurator extensions, you'll have these in your tools window. So first thing to do, we're going to make a data structure. So we pick the folder where the data structure prims are, and it shows you up here if you found the right one. And then graph folder, we're going to pick the graph folder, and it also tells you up here what assets to look for to know you're in the right one. And then we hit create data structure, and you just give it a moment. So what this is doing is it's looking at every asset in your stage, every asset, not just like one you have selected, and it's going to build you a complete data structure. So it has everything that is a variant has a category, every variant set has a category, every variant in it has an option, and each option has a single behavior, a single variant attached to it. So functionally, this has just replicated the variant presenter as a starting point. You'll also see in your behavior library, every single variant is stored in here, and they've all been named according to the variant sets. So now you have like an ingredient list to tune and mix and match your variants and put them in your database structure as you wish. We also have automatically created variant controllers, and they've all been attached to the appropriate data structure pairings. So now if I turn on my panel, this panel is written in Python, and it automatically just looks for a variant data structure and then builds itself out. So you can see these variants are all working. Since it's data driven, right? So data structures, let's do leather set. If I find my equivalent section in the data structure, leather set color variant, I'm going to change this blue shock UI label to be, let's call it blue super shock, and you'll see it updated immediately. If I drop an icon in here, it'll show up in here. This Python panel is a lot more responsive to what's happening in the data structure. You'll see if I duplicate this yellow sport, I'm going to get another yellow sport option in here. So I recommend using this Python panel a lot when you're kind of building out your data structure and iterating on it. The one kind of drawback with the Python panel is it's not docked to my viewport. So when I hit Control-Alt-C, you'll see it's gone. It's not part of my viewport. So that's where the UI prims come in. Once you have a data structure that you kind of like, you can use this, create no code UI. And same thing, it's going to ask you to pick a folder, and it's going to give you a hint of if you're in the right one, and it's this one. And then you hit create no code UI. And then you wait a little bit while it's processing our data structure. It's importing a bunch of prims and putting the right UI styling on them, all the stuff that you saw in the other video that was manual. All right, so my UI has now been completed, and it is also functional. So if I click on these, turn the roof on and off, I can change rim types, right? So you can see how this is kind of an analog of this one because they're both built off of the data structure. The one little difference is this viewport UI, right? If I hit Control-Alt-C, it's on my viewport, which is nice, but it's also not quite as responsive to the data structure. It disappeared, you'll notice, because when we add the no-code UI on the system startup, we enable using UI prims, and when this is turned on starting and stopping the configurator, it will automatically build and destroy the UI. So if you ever want to see the UI manually, you just right-click and do viewport prim there. So the example I showed you earlier, where if I duplicate it, and let's go look at car paints here. So you see they have the same list from black down to yellow. I'll go to the bottom. So if I go to my car paint color here and I duplicate yellow, I don't see another one in UI prims. It doesn't rebuild itself as immediately as the configurator panel. So usually what I find works pretty well is use the configurator panel to iterate and work, and then when you're done, build out your no-code UI here using the utility. So again, this is still just like a one-to-one analog of the variant presenter. But the point of this system is you can mix and match things. So I'm going to go open up another file that I already made before this, where I took all of these pieces as ingredients, and you can open this too. This is supplied. It takes the ingredients we made, and mine actually auto starts up in this situation. And now I've adjusted them, right? So I have a rim style or wheel colors. I've combined all 3 different wheel colors into one thing. I've also combined body options, so I can do the hardtop on and off, and I can do changing like the direction of the wheels left to right and straight. I can do that in here in one category. I can also change like turning the headlights off and on. It's easier to see on the back. So I've used my behaviors and I've put them into options that are combined together. So now I have kind of a more customized thing. And then I also can take all of these behaviors and use them again for this idea of presets. So I have these presets here. So if I set this to stealth mode, it's going to change the body color, the wheel color, the interior color, all of these to black. It's going to turn the hood on. I could maybe make it change the wheels or change the headlight pattern, whatever I want. I can also switch maybe to the ghost, and that's the opposite. I mean, this all white. But I can still go back and now just edit from here. So I can, let's go to paint colors, and I don't know, I'll make it yellow. All right, so I've used the ingredients to build out kind of a more custom data structure. And that's where the data structure shines. So dig in, play around, and explore it, make it your own. We designed it to be kind of open and inviting you to fiddle with it and make it customized for how you want, and start to see how you can use all these different systems in Omniverse to build a platform on top of it. So we're using customizations in USD, we're using Python, we're using Action Graph, and all of that together is building a configurator experience on top of the Omniverse platform.